Hi, and welcome to Terry Talks Movies. This one's a bit different because I'm doing a 24-hour movie marathon over 2 days. So I'm doing two 12-hour sessions, and I'm going to be watching a whole bunch of movies and reviewing them when I finish them. There it is, the Wheel of Movies, otherwise known as the We Love Movies. And I've got a whole bunch of movies written onto the wheel, and then I spin the wheel, whatever comes up is the movie that I have to watch. There are two movies in there that are crap, and I don't like them at all. So what I'm going to do is tell you the rules, and then at 8 o'clock this morning I'm going to spin the wheel and watch whatever movie comes up. So the first rule, spin the wheel, watch the movie. Dead simple, not difficult to understand. Number 2, do a brief review of the movie. Rule number 3, on the wheel at any one time there are two movies that are crap, or that I don't like and I don't want to watch or review. Number 4, if a crap movie comes up, it must be replaced on the wheel by another crap movie. And number 5, if a good movie comes up, I can pick a good movie to replace it with on the wheel. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be watching the movie. It just means that the movie is going to be on the wheel as a possibility. So we'll have a look in a moment on what we actually have on the wheel. So let's take a look at what we got on the wheel. We've got Hail Caesar there on the left. Time Crimes, that Spanish time travel movie. Hang on, let me move it there. Time Crimes. We have Easy Rider, and that's in 4K. Showgirls, the Paul Verhoeven movie. I just thought I'd throw that in as random. We have The Wonderful Eyes Without a Face, which again is on 4K. Black Tie Killers, which is a Japanese gangster movie from the 60s. Here's the first one I don't want to watch. Keith Lemon, the film. I've done it before on a 24-hour marathon. It's one of the worst pieces of cinema to come out of the UK in a century. Next up, we've got 2 Weeks in Another Town, Vincente Minnelli's movie from 1962. Then we've got the other random one that I don't want to do, which is an Andre Rieu concert video. I don't want to watch that, so that's the other random one. And the last one we have is Enter the Dragon on 4K. So they're the choices on the wheel, and I'm going to spin it just in a little bit. Actually, I could do it now. Let's spin it now and see what comes up, and that's going to be the first movie that I'm going to watch and review. So keep an eye up the top there, and we'll see what comes up. 1, 2, 3. Black Tie Killers, that Japanese one from the 1960s. I'm looking forward to that. I'll show you the disc. I'll grab it out of the box and I'll show you the disc. It's from Radiance Films. That one. That might be a bit of fun to start off with, and I'll do it at 8 o'clock. And I'm glad I didn't hit one of the bad ones. So I'm going to watch it, review it, and then replace it with another movie on the wheel. I'll see you guys then. And the cats are bashing on the door. There's the other alternative cover for Black Tie Killers, which is very cool. And there's a booklet as well. Okay, Black Tie Killers. Fantastic movie. It's surreal, it's crazy. It had about 5 nightclub sequences in it. It had go-go dancers, it had female ninjas, it had bad guys, it had a hero who was a combat photographer who lives in a ninja museum, basically. Crazy, beautiful use of vivid colors in this. You can see a little bit of it there on the back. But this movie you gotta see. Showa era 1966, directed by Asebe Yasuharu. This one is crazily good. Female gangsters, a little bit of kinkiness, really groovy pop music in it. Just a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it. It's a good way to start out the 24 hours. But now I have to pick the second movie, and that's what worries me, because there are still those 2 wild cards on the wheel. So we'll go and do that, and then I'll start watching the second movie. Okay, we've got the wheel here, and I'm going to give it a spin, and hopefully it won't come up on one of the ones I don't want it to come up on. Here we go. and we got Showgirls, which is not a bad choice. So it's time for me to watch Showgirls. It's now approximately 9:35, so I'll start Showgirls at 9:35 a.m. Started at 8 o'clock, and we'll get on with it. And I'll see you after the movie. Okay, it's 11:57 and we've finished Showgirls, so there's 11:57 for you. Showgirls is a weird film. Showgirls is all about Eve with boobies. It's over the top, it's ridiculous, but it's fun to watch. And it's got some good acting in it. Jenny Gershon's great, Elizabeth Berkley's fine, Kyle MacLachlan's weird, and lots of good supporting cast as well. So yeah, it is basically all about Eve, but done in a weird, very male gazy way. There is an enormous romance between the two lead characters, Jenny Gershon and Elizabeth Berkley, so I enjoyed that part. Now it's time to pick the third movie for the 24 hour, and I replaced Showgirls on the wheel with Point Blank, the John Boorman movie with Lee Marvin, so I'm hoping that comes up at some stage. So it's time to set up the wheel and see what the third movie is. Here's the wheel, we've got Point Blank sitting there, so I've got to spin it and find out what the third movie is. And I'm still hoping I don't get Andre Rieu or Keith Lemon. So let's see how we go. Hooray, we got Enter the Dragon on 4K. So it's time to start watching Enter the Dragon. Enter the Dragon on 4K, let's get started with this. One of the great 1970s action films, and I love it. Okay, so I've just finished Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee's last full film, and it's still a banger. Lalo Schifrin's soundtrack, you got John Saxon, you got Jim Kelly, you got Bruce Lee, Bolo Yeung's in there as well, and you even get a tiny bit of Jackie Chan. It's just one of the great martial arts films, and one of the great action films of the 1970s as well. I liked it when I first saw it, when it first came out, and I still like it. Real banger, looks fantastic on 4K. They haven't done anything to it that knocks around the grain or anything like that. It's pristine as it gets, and I just love it. Always will. So next up, I've got to find another movie. So it's over to the wheel. So here we are back at the wheel. As you can see, I've removed Enter the Dragon and put Solda Blue on there, a Western that I got on 4K recently. And it's time to spin the wheel again. Wish me luck. And we happen to get Solda Blue. It's a Western I haven't seen before. Stars Candice Bergen, but we're going to do that one next. And we've still dodged those two nasty movies that I still don't want to watch. So here's the fourth movie we're doing, Solda Blue. As I said, it's got Candice Bergen in it. I think Peter Strauss is in there as well. Who else have we got in the cast? Donald Pleasance, gotta love that. John Anderson, Dana Claire, directed by Ralph Nelson. No, nothing about it apart from the fact it's supposed to be a violent Western. So I'm going cold on this one, and we should get started because the time is now 2 minutes past 2. So I'll get started with that. Okay, I've watched Solda Blue. That movie was a revelation to me. It really is a strange film. It's got a massacre at the start of the film, which is incredibly graphic for 1970. And it's got a massacre at the end, which is heartbreaking and graphic. And in the middle, it's almost like a Western romantic comedy between the characters played by Candice Bergen and Peter Strauss. The tonal shifts in this are incredible. But it's a great film. I really got a lot from it. I think it's a film that talked about colonization, it talked about the massacre of First Nations people in America in a way that for 1970 would have blown people's minds. But I understand now why that one got a 4K release here in Australia. It's a film that got disregarded for a long time, And it's a film that was more progressive and more forward-looking than many other films of its time. So, clearing my head of that, which is a little difficult because it is a very confronting and very graphic pair of massacres in that film, I'm going to go over to the wheel. We're going to pick the next film. Okay, so we've got the wheel going again, and I've added another movie to it and taken off Solda Blue. I've added OC and Tigs, a very unusual Robert Altman film that I just picked up a Blu-ray copy of. So it's time to spin the wheel again and see what comes up. One moment and we'll get that done. And it's the worst possible option. It's the one film I did not want to get this time around. Keith Lemon, the film, came up. I'm going to have to watch it. It is now, he said, looking at the watch, 4:08 p.m. At 10 past 4, I'm going to start watching that monstrous movie that should never have been made and should have been destroyed in its entirety. And then hopefully I'll get on to something decent, which will possibly be, if not the last, then the second last film of the day. Yep, so we came up with The Deuce. Keith Lemon, the film. Horrible movie. I'm going to watch it because I promised I would, but I'm not going to enjoy it. So it's time for that one, and I want to get it over with as soon as I possibly can. And then I'm going to try to forget that I ever watched it. See you after it. So I watched it. This thing. If there's a movie in the world that drains your will to live, it's this thing. I'm not even going to try to describe it. Don't watch it ever. It is the cinematic equivalent of Chernobyl. It's got all the charm of a house brick with bird shit on it. Really bad movie. Never watching that again. That's out of circulation for good. I have replaced it on the wheel with the new remake of Charlie's Angels, the feminist one that nobody likes, but I kind of like because I wanted to give myself a break. And so it's time to rotate the wheel again. The time is 5:43 p.m. and I've got to get some energy back after it got sapped by watching Keith Lemon the film. So let's go do the wheel. Hopefully I'll get a good one. So here we are again. We've got the wheel going. I've updated it with Charlie's Angels right there. I'm going to spin it and see what nightmare awaits me. OC and Tigs, the weird Robert Altman film based on an article in National Lampoon. It's funny, but it's kind of icky at the same time. So I'm going to get on with that. And in a second, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, OC and Tigs. I've got the Radiance edition of this one. I'll show you the other cover. It's got a booklet in it as well. It's probably one of the weirdest films Robert Altman ever made. And it's the one that people like least. But it's kind of fun. I read the original National Lampoon article, which was almost an entire issue of National Lampoon, and loved it. I was living in Dubbo in the middle of New South Wales at the time with my mate, and we both loved it and enjoyed it and liked the fact that it made fun of everybody. So I'm going to get on with that. I'll review it when I'm finished and we'll spin the wheel again. And that one will probably be the last one for the night. And as you can see there, it's 8 o'clock and I've finished the 12 hours that I'm doing today, and I'm doing a subsequent 12 hours in a couple of days. I've got some things going tomorrow, so I won't do it tomorrow. But let's talk about OC and Tigs, a really weird Robert Altman movie from the 1980s. It was kind of a critique and a deconstruction of teen comedies of the era, and it's half successful, let's put it that way. Like I said, it was based on a National Lampoon story, and the cast is pretty good. You've got Paul Dooley in there, Jane Curtin, Dennis Hopper, Martin Mull, Melvin Van Peebles, Sweet Sweetback's badass song Melvin Van Peebles, and a whole bunch of other people. Even though some of the vignettes of comedy in it are hit and miss, I kind of like it overall. It's not like Up Here comedy, it's like about their comedy. Nonetheless, it's fun, it's transgressive, which is always a plus for me. It does have some moments of homophobia, but it is a 1980s comedy, and sadly a lot of those had that. But it's not as bad as the homophobia in a lot of other 1980s comedies. And the big thing that the movie attacks is the racism of a certain insurance company owner in Phoenix, Arizona, where the movie is set. Interesting Robert Altman film, not his best by a long shot, but an interesting experiment and very different from many, many other 1980s teen comedies. And I like it. So I'm going to sign off for now. I'll be back at 8 o'clock in the morning on Friday to record the rest of this and to spin the wheel again for another half a dozen movies. So I will catch you guys then, and hopefully I don't get any bummers this time around. Okay, welcome to day 2 of the movie marathon. I've got to spin the wheel again for the next movie. Hopefully it's not any of the bad ones, but who knows, because it is a random thing. So let's get going, and I'll give it a good hard spin. Time Crimes. I've got a new video of Time Crimes, which Umbrella Entertainment sent me, a Blu-ray. So I can watch that Spanish time travel movie. So that's going to be a good one to do. I'm happy I got that one. So we'll get started, and I will let you know what I thought of the movie at the end of it. So here we are, Time Crimes. This is a new Umbrella Entertainment release of it, which I've already reviewed on the channel. I decided to chuck a couple of the movies that I got from Umbrella into the mix for the 24-hour marathon. And inside, there's the inside slipcover. There is the telling thing that says, bad things happen all the time. And I won't show you the rest of it because I've already reviewed it, but we'll get started. I'll watch the movie and I'll tell you what I thought of it on a rewatch, because I have seen it before. So I'll see you after that. Okay, it is 9:30 a.m. and I've just finished Time Crimes. Fantastic time travel movie. It's in Spanish. It works. The plot just totally does the time jump thing fantastically. It ends on a kind of disturbing note, but it works. And the time loops and people and things that Hector, the protagonist who jumps through time, sees as he jumps back and forth, and does as he jumps back and forth, and how things are misinterpreted. It's just a truly great time travel movie, and it was a lot of fun to experience again. I'd forgotten some of the twists and turns of the plot, which is always a good thing with this kind of film. So now it's time to do the second movie of the day, which would be the 8th movie of the 24 hours, and for that we need the wheel. Now I've added another movie to the wheel to replace Time Crimes, and I thought I'd go a bit random with it, because why not? Reefer Madness. I'm adding Reefer Madness to the wheel because why the hell not? It's getting late in the 24 hours. Might as well have a bit of fun, potentially, depending on whether it comes up or not. So we'll take you over to the wheel now and we'll see how we go. Here we go. Here's the wheel again. We've added Reefer Madness to it, and it's time for another spin. Hopefully not a crap movie. And it's a crap movie. I've actually forgotten to take OC and Tigs off there. We got the Andre Rieu video, which is not what I wanted, but I've got to play by the rules of the wheel. I'll get on with it. Okay, here's the culprit. Andre Rieu at Schönbrunn. It's 150 minutes, so I'm not going to watch it all. I'm going to watch 2 hours of it. I think that's fair. I'm not going to enjoy it, but I'm going to put it on and watch. And when I actually spun this up, Sally giggled and laughed and snorted at me and did all that kind of stuff because I got this one. So I really want to get it over with, so I'm going to start it as soon as possible. Okay, I've done it all fairly. I have endured 2 hours of Andre Rieu. Wasn't entirely bad, to be honest with you. There were little bits that were okay. There was a guy playing the zither and did the Harry Lime theme from The Third Man. So I've added The Third Man to the wheel. But most of it is kind of like what old money rich people think is entertainment. It was very white, but well done. I'm going to try to put it out of my mind now as I go and pick the next movie for the 24-hour session. So we're back at the wheel now. I've replaced Andre Rieu with Madame Web, and I've put The Third Man where Ocean Tigs was. So it's time to spin again, so wish me luck. And we got Madame Web, because today's just not the best day for me. So I've got to go and grab Madame Web from the back room and play that. And yeah, okay. And somebody in the other room who is just over there is sticking her finger up at me, because she is not a kind person at times. Oh yeah. So here it is on DVD, on Blu-ray, sorry. So here it is on Blu-ray, Madame Web. Gonna watch this now. I've seen it before. I was hoping not to see it too many more times, but the wheel is the wheel, and I've got to do it. So I'm gonna put it in, I'm gonna play it, gonna tell you what I thought of it the second time around. But I'm taking a little bit of a lunch break first, because I'm allowed to. It's still a little early for lunch, it's 11:40, but it's probably the best time to do it. See you on the flip side. Okay, the time's 2:06 p.m. and I have finished watching Madame Web. Now, as many of you know, I am a locked-in superhero movie fan. And movies like this cheese me off, because you can see where they go wrong. You can see the potential that was there. You can see all of the things that would have made it an okay superhero movie. None of them happen. The casting of Dakota Johnson, the dialogue, the kind of ADR work on two of the people in the movie, the antagonist and a couple of other people. There's just really bad voice work and acting, and the villain had absolutely no charisma at all, zero riz. It annoyed me all over again watching it this time. But I watched it because that, for my sins, is what I agreed to do in this 24-hour movie marathon. So it's time to pick another movie, and hopefully it's one that I can enjoy, because the last two have been kind of crap. Let's see what happens. Okay, we're back at the wheel of movies, and I'm going to spin it again. I'm not going to put anything else onto the wheel. If I get something that's already come up, I'll just spin again. We're at that time of day. So here we go. And we got Reefer Madness. So I'm going to watch Reefer Madness next. Not good, not bad, just kind of weird, but let's get on with it. So here it is. One of the great anti-drug crazy cult films, a midnight movie if ever there was one. It's not very long, so I should be able to squeeze a couple of more things in before we finish this 24-hour. But let's get started. Okay, we're done with Reefer Madness, otherwise known as Tell Your Children, from 1936. Yeah, moral panics are an interesting thing, particularly when looked at from about 80 years in the future. Apparently, if you sleep with someone who's not your girlfriend and smoke dope, you're probably going to be framed for murder, apparently. But that's what it is. 66 minutes, didn't take long, so I probably should get on. I might be able to get a couple more movies in before the 8 o'clock curfew on this. So let's see what we get. I'm hoping I'll get something that I really like, because the last couple haven't been that great. In fact, the last three haven't been that great. It's been a rotten day for this particular endeavour. So give me a moment and I'll go over to the wheel and we'll see what we find. Here we go, the wheel of cinema. Here we are once more. Like I said, I'm not going to remove anything from the wheel at this stage. I'm just going to see what we get. So here we go. We got Die Hard, the ultimate Christmas movie. Fantastic, happy with that. Gonna go watch Die Hard, yippee-ki-yay. So here it is in wonderful 4K. The ultimate Christmas movie, the happiest kingdom of them all. Nakatomi Plaza, Hans Gruber, John McClane, Holly Gennaro, the whole lot. I'm gonna watch it now and enjoy it. Haven't watched it this year. Watched it on the big screen last year around this time. Gonna get into it. Okay, we finished Die Hard. It is not Christmas till Alan Rickman falls off the building and Vaughn Monroe sings Let It Snow. Fantastically satisfying, particularly the last 5 minutes of it. You know it, you love it. It's a Christmas movie. If you disagree, tell me, because it's all engagement for the channel. Got to do the last movie. Got time now for a last film. It is 5:39, so I've got time for a 2-hour movie or so. So let's get back to the wheel and see what we can do. Okay, here's the wheel. Let me just adjust that a little bit for you. Last spin of the marathon. Hopefully I'll get something good. We got something good. We got Point Blank, the John Boorman film with Lee Marvin and Angie Dickinson. Going to get that set up and watch it. Happy with that as a final film for this particular marathon. And I'll talk to you when I've got it set up. As I said, last movie of the day and last movie of the 24-hour marathon. Point Blank. Fantastic film. If you haven't seen it, you should. If you haven't seen it lately, you should. Again, it's got Lee Marvin, Angie Dickinson, Keenan Wynn, Carol O'Connor, Lloyd Bochner, Michael Strong. It was directed by John Boorman, and it is a classic crime flick. And I'm going to love watching it, but I've got to feed the cats first. So I'll feed the cats, and then we'll watch it. See you afterwards. And there we go. We finished the 24 hours with Point Blank. Hell of a movie. There's always that argument about whether most of the movie is Walker's dying dream when he's shot in Alcatraz. I don't mind going either way with that. I still think it's a fantastic film. That surrealistic style to it, and that abstraction, and Angie Dickinson beating up on Lee Marvin. There's just so much to love in that film. This is the movie that I thought of when I visited Alcatraz in '98. And I was in that yard where most of the scenes there take place. And the only movie I could think of was Point Blank. It's really a fantastic piece of cinema. I'm glad I revisited it. I haven't watched it in about a decade. But rewatching it, had a great time with it. Really worked. And Lee Marvin was never cooler than in this film. So there we go, 24 hours. Let me just get all the movies together here just to show you how much cinema and other things, come to think of it, you can squeeze into 24 hours on 2 non-consecutive days, of course. I've explained that earlier in the video, I believe. But I'll just get them all together. It still does your head in to watch 12 movies in such a short span of time. It's really a little bit different, and the range of cinema here, but it feels like a very long time since I started this, even though it's only been a couple of days. There's the stack there. Lots of movies. We went from a Japanese gangster film all the way to an American gangster film. So there's a nice circularity to that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you like the format, let me know. You can subscribe, do the thumbs up, do a like on it, leave a comment, please. Tell me which of these movies you liked and which ones you hated, because there are a couple in there I hated. You can also support the channel by becoming a channel member or by becoming a patron at patreon.com/JerryTalksMovies. We're heading into the week when the reindeer shit hits the roof. So I've got a couple of things planned for that upcoming. So all of that's in play, and it should be fun to do. So please have a great holiday season. However you celebrate it, whether you're doing the God thing or whether you're not doing the God thing, whatever you're doing, just enjoy yourself, and I hope it goes incredibly well for you. And thanks for all the support you've given the channel this year. Until next time, when I've got more stuff, and I've also got my little pre-Christmas bonus for the channel. Watch some good movies, watch some bad movies. Watch a big ass stack of movies, and I'll catch you next time.